The topic for RPGaDay 2015, day 24, is what is your favorite house rule? I wrote a long post for the blog about this. I don't think I'll get into it too deeply for this video. I used to house rule a lot when I was a D&D player, playing basic D&D, and then later, maybe more, playing advanced D&D. We used to house rule a lot. Just little things like how advancement was going to work in a particular campaign, or, the way that magic items would work. There was a framework of rules laid out so that everybody would understand how it would be different from the current understanding of the rules, or what was printed in the game set that we were playing. The more I experimented with games, the less I've come to house rule over time. I guess I've come closer and closer to the idea that running a game, rules as written, is necessary if you care about running the game as it was intended. Right? You may learn something from how that game operates, and we've talked about this before when we talked about rules as written. But to run a game rules as written, you have to be, let's say, fluent in making rulings. You have to have the ability to assess a rule. You have to have the ability to assess the ongoing flow, the dynamic within your game, and identify, if there's a problem first, and then if there is a problem, what is that problem? And if it's a rule, being able to step in and fix that rule. Now, if you find, in my opinion, if you find that you're doing this a lot to your game, if you find that you've changed how magic works, and you've changed how invention works, and you've changed how the chase rules work, and initiative works, and on and on and on. If you keep making changes to the same system, you're not playing that game anymore. You can't say it any other way. You're not playing that game anymore. You're playing your game. So make it. Or seek out one of the many, many, many other games out there and find one that actually does what you're looking for. Is the game that you're playing too lethal? There are many that are less lethal, and the reverse, and in the middle, or have very clear rules for scaling it to a particular genre or feel or style. There are so many games out there, and so many of them are so good, and people don't play them. They just keep slogging along, trying to patch and fix and update and hang on to some old game that, because they've house ruled it so much, they have just demonstrated really clearly that game really isn't working for them. That's it. There are times when there's something that just doesn't work. The designer made a mistake, or your group can't let go of some particular aspect of gameplay from a previous game. They really enjoy it, and their fun is limited when it doesn't exist. This kind of thing. There's just one little thing that needs to be changed. Then, of course, step in, house rule it, make it better, or at least make it different, and have fun with that. Don't worry about it. It's what we do. That's why it requires people to play a role-playing game, I guess. So the kind of rules, the kind of house rules that I like, to get to the point of this, are the ones where the group steps in to create rules in the absence of design. Right? There are no rules for this thing that we want to do at the game, either at all or yet. Right? There are no rules for ship-to-ship combat spelled out very clearly in Space 1889 yet. So let's make some. Or there are ship rules spelled out really clearly in Revelations of Mars, so let's port those in. Same system, so is that really house ruling? Not really, I suppose, but it's that sort of thing. We really liked Rule X from Game Y. Let's bring it into Game Z and never look back. Or let's make up our own, which is even cooler. And maybe that game system will come around to producing rules for that thing. Maybe your rules are better. Maybe your rules have been in play so long that it's just not worth it to change them for the official rules. So yeah, I think in order to house rule effectively, you need to understand two things. How to run a game, rules as written, and how to make an effective ruling, knowing when, where such things are appropriate. And then have at it. And of course, the only way you can learn this is to try, and make mistakes. And some of these rules you invent are going to be awesome, and some are going to be crap. And that's all part of the fun. Yeah, you remember the time when remember the time we completely changed Battletech, which is not a role-playing game, but remember the time we completely changed Battletech by changing initiative and the aiming rules. And we wound up with something completely different, something that meshed really nicely with the role-playing game, but definitely wasn't Battletech anymore. Was it still fun? Yes, for a while. But then we went back to Battletech. And after years and years and years and then more years of doing these things, maybe you'll still be house ruling. Maybe it won't be necessary. I don't know what it is for you. For me, it's the latter. Most of the games I run are rules as written, unless some consistent problem comes up that bothers the fun in the group. Interesting question. How about you? What is your favorite house rule? This was for day 24 of RPGaDay 2015. See you tomorrow.